This video is proudly sponsored by Newtype. Tools, accessories, model kits, these guys have it. Hop over to newtypeshq.com and use promo code Otaku for 10% off on your next purchase. Hey, what's going on, dudes and dudettes? Welcome back to another exciting episode from the good folks from Bandai Japan. So why don't we get things started with the 135 scale UFC Hargraph RX-78-2 Core Fighter. And without further ado, let's get to it. And welcome back, my dudes and dudettes, to another unique build from the good folks from Bandai. I do hope you're all doing well, and I do hope this video is somewhat informative and enjoyable for you to watch. Now, I've been wanting to build this Core Fighter for quite some time, but I needed to get some practice done by painting 1/100 scale model kits to 1/60 scale figurine pilots. Now, I did do my practice on these little guys for quite some time, but I felt that I was ready to tackle a 135 scale figurine, and thus we have the FF-X Core Fighter from Universal Century Gundam. And I can't tell you how excited I am to actually finally build this model kit. And on the first side of the box art, you get a good glimpse on who's going to be featured in this model kit, which is Armor Ray, Sailor Maz, and it looks like a maintenance worker for the aircraft carrier, as well as an abundance of accessories, backpacks, 2 pistols, and 2 spare helmets for the pilots individually, as well as a glimpse on what you can do with this aircraft with an action base, which unfortunately this model kit does not come with, as well as an understanding of a transforming feature for the pilot seat, and an understanding of putting on water slide decals. And on the other side, you can get a good glimpse on what you can do with this model kit when it's all built and gussied up, as well as an option of doing 2 different variations of decals for Armor as well as another pilot. Now, enough about that. What's inside the box? First things up, you're going to be introduced to this massive spreadsheet of water slide decals, as well as sticker decals for the windshield, which I'm quite surprised that there's so many decals for a master grade / high grade kit, but it's quite nice that they went this far for it back in the day. And on the first page in the back, you're going to notice that where you're going to put the water slide decals when it's done and fully assembled, which is quite nice, but me personally, I'm not going to use every single decal, just the ones that really pop out, as well as a glimpse on what you can do for custom painting inside the cockpit if you choose to go the extra step. But by far, the one thing I love about this instruction manual is the beautiful illustration work that was done to make this kit a reality. You get a good glimpse of the Core Fighter, as well as the pilot and the maintenance worker, weapon accessories. It's just such a treat to see how much work really went into this model kit. As for the following page, gives you a good glimpse on what you're going to be tackling first, which is going to be the figurines. Now, these figurines are quite unique compared to the whole entire model kit because these guys actually require glue. So if you actually have some super glue lying around, I would highly recommend you get yourself some to make sure you get those guys built correctly. As for the following page, gives you a good glimpse on an adapter that you can actually plug into the model kit so you can have it stand up on an action base. As for the second to last page, gives you a glimpse of more weapon accessories and accessories for the model kit, such as the landing gear, the opening and closing of the windshield, as well as a handful of missile attachments that can be placed underneath the wings for the model kit, and a small glimpse of the transforming feature for the model kit to boot. As for the first runners up, you're going to get these really nice burgundy red pieces for the main fuselage, as well as a handful of medium blue pieces for the main cockpit, as well as a small assortment of clear pieces for the windshield and control panel, as well as 2 visor pieces for the Gundam pilot's helmets, which I absolutely love. And last and finally, we get the classic white pieces for the weapon accessories, as well as the pilot for this model kit to round things up, as well as a small assortment of gray pieces for the landing gear wheels, as well as the taxi mechanism that they use to escort the plane when it lands on the runway. Now, before we do any kind of form of customization, we need to tackle the one area that is very crucial for this model kit to make it look really stand out, and that is the figurine. Now, these figurines are quite unique because they're not molded and shaped like how you would expect from like a 1/60th scale to a 1/100 scale model kit. These guys are actually constructed like how you would see in a resin kit, which is absolutely totally fine. So, before we actually put these guys together, we're going to actually paint them first, then construct them with the good old-fashioned Bob Smith super glue, and then add some light weathering to them. Now this next part is going to be quite difficult for me because I was very successful installing LED lights into an R-Type model kit as well as a Macross model kit late last year, which was absolutely a treat. But I am not going to be going all out by putting so many LED lights into one tight cockpit area because you're going to have to deal with a lot of electrical wires to the point where an LED might fail, an LED might not work, or an LED might just short out. Traditionally, when it came to doing these kind of things back in the late 80s, early 90s, was using fiber optic wiring. Since I'm not quite versed with that, and I'm quite good when it comes to using Evans Design's LED lights, I'm just going to rock out with those. So to really emphasize those areas that I really want to pop out is going to be tackling the two blue areas as well as the control panel in the very center of the model kit. But before I do that, I need to paint the model kit cockpit first. Alright my dudes and dudettes, as this video is wrapping up, I want to share with you guys my thoughts and impressions about this model kit because this kit was an absolute treat to build. You know, sure, I could have continued on building one Gundam after another and be like every Gundam channel out there, but I always love to mix things up. I want to build things that definitely are familiar, but at the same time are things that can change your perspective on building one kit to the next, because you'd be quite surprised when it comes to building such as a fighter jet and then implement what you learn from this, and then you can take what you learn from this and apply it to your next model kit, which has actually happened to a lot of the kits that I built last year into the kits that I built today. And overall, this kit was a treat. The only issue I had was just cable management of taking these big spools of wires and then confining them into one part of the model kit, which is a challenge. This kit is relatively small. So I know I could have just done one feature where I just lit up the thrusters and then did some small bits into the cockpit area, and my wire management would be quite manageable, but I always like to go that next step when it comes to building the next model kit, and I didn't want that to boggle me down, so I kept pushing forward. But the one thing that I was extremely concerned was the transforming feature of this model kit, because I've done a lot of custom painting and there are a lot of tight and constricted areas to make this model kit look really cool, because the gimmick is the transforming feature of this model kit. And that's definitely one thing I would definitely recommend you dudes and dudettes to stay away from if you do any kind of custom painting, because you will chip and scrape a lot of the paints off. Regardless if you put a lot of top coat on there, paint is paint. And paint is going to chip and peel off regardless if you put any kind of heavy tension onto the surface. So keep that in mind when you're building this model kit. But the one thing I absolutely love about this model kit, in fact probably the most biggest highlight of it, was actually learning how to actually paint figurines in a traditional sense, because I've painted small ones in the past, but never in a way where I actually had to learn to actually take the pieces out and then glue them together and then paint them afterwards. You know, like how it traditionally is when it comes to painting and building model kits, and that was really refreshing. And it definitely brought back a lot of bad memories when I built my very first resin kit, which was the Zone of the Enders Jehudi resin kit back in 2015. And I was green then, you know, I just wanted to build the kit for the sake of just building it and putting it on my shelf. Didn't want to boggle down, do any custom painting or any custom panel lining. I just wanted to do a straight up build, and I was not happy with the results. But, you know, fast forward literally 8 years later, I have a deeper appreciation towards it. In fact, it's actually opened up my mind to possibly build a resin kit down the road, but which one I build, who knows? Probably tackle the Jehudi one, maybe tackle a Sazabi, I don't know. Only time will tell. But for those who want to check out this kit and pick it up for yourself, I would highly recommend it. It's a great kit, it's fun, easy to build. The downside is it's very difficult to find, and the only place I was actually able to purchase it was off of Amazon. And we all know what's happening right now when it comes to shipping. But unfortunately, that's all the time I have, my dudes and dudettes. Thank you guys so much for watching this video last month, and thank you guys so much for new subscribers. And as always, please be safe, look out for each other, and I will see you dudes and dudettes on the next video. Later.